Southern Cameroons, crown of freedom, you have it.
My people of the Southern Cameroons, Issa Tchiroma Bakari recently joined a live Zoom call on a predominant Southern Cameroons platform to address the people, to give them hope and encouragement. I would love for you to listen to an excerpt of that video. This analysis will change your life forever. This is a must watch for every Southern Cameroonian, whether home or abroad. Let's take a listen.
I was very much delighted, very much pleased. The gift of Cameroon is to be capable of expressing ourselves in both languages, French and English, the most spoken language worldwide. So I made it a point of honor to join you and to speak in a language where you are more comfortable. Comme vous savez, moi, je suis more comfortable in French, but it doesn't matter. If I have to express myself in English, I think that you are nice and kind enough to understand that even though my English is far from being what it should, but my commitment is to say that I will do whatever it takes to be as good in English as I pretend to be in French.
If you listen to that clip, it's a 9-minute video. Over 90% of the presentation was done in French. English was sprinkled around the conversation. This is what I want our Southern Cameroons people to understand. A people without a memory are condemned to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Never ever forget to remember. Let me repeat that slowly. Never ever forget to remember. You see this man you're supporting. From what I am hearing, if he gets to power within a very short time, you will see a chameleon. You will be shocked as to how fast he transformed. Write this down and never forget it. There is no French colony that practices decentralization. There is no French colony in the world that practices decentralization. That means every leader you find in any French colony consolidates power. That is the first step towards leadership for them. Now, this is what I want you to understand, and then we are going to break things down so that you never forget. And we are going to give an assignment for Issa Tchiroma Bakari while he is in the Gambia, what he should be doing if he really wants change. Because what I'm realizing is, for 1 week, they could not sustain a ghost town. But you, Southern Cameroonians, have been resisting for 9 to 10 years. Now they are realizing how tough and resilient you are, and they want to use you as the leverage point to have your people engage either financially or stepping out there to fight for them. And let's be mindful of this. This is the year of reset. People without a single story are condemned to fail as well. My goal is that before the end of 2026, we have a single story about who we are and how far we've come. Some said, oh, the Francophone elites succeeded to divide those in the Northwest from those in the Southwest. My question to all of us is, why did they succeed? Why haven't we been able to divide them? Because this is what you should understand. When it comes to the Southern Cameroons issue, every Francophone unites. They have little disagreement as to how they should treat us. They might have disagreements among themselves as to who gets to lead. But when it comes to the Southern Cameroons issue, it is treated as secondary or an inconvenience for them. This is a predominant Southern Cameroons platform or Anglophone platform. He showed up on this platform and spoke more in French than in English. And he is not yet the president of La République du Cameroun. This is what I want you to see. Amadou Ahidjo comes from the north. The same area Issa Tchiroma Bakari comes from. He ran that country for 22 years. Southern Cameroonians, citizens of the Republic of Cameroon, the question we all should be asking is, what problem are we trying to solve? Because some said, Paul Biya can solve this problem, but he doesn't want to solve the problem. The question is, what problem are we trying to solve? Most of the videos I produce on this platform is for leaders, influencers, those who will shape the future of Southern Cameroons. While the average man is learning as well. A classic example. I'm sure some of you did math in school. If I say 2x plus 5 is equal to 15, find x. Every student of mathematics, the first thing they would do is classify that question. You ask the question, is this a linear equation or is this a quadratic equation? Because if you don't understand the equation you are solving, you think a new president will fix the issues in this country. If we change the leader, everything will change. Classification. This is an incomplete decolonization equation, not a governance failure equation. If you can't properly define and classify the problem, whatever solution you provide will be wrong. Successful nations solve their problems through frameworks, through scientific methods. Poor and struggling nations solve their problems through emotions, through slogans, through opinions, through flags and speculations. That is the distinction. Now, every student of mathematics, whether in the Republic of Cameroon, in Southern Cameroons, in Nigeria, in the United States of America or Canada, will all agree that 2x plus 5 is equal to 15. Find x. They will all agree that this is a linear equation, not a quadratic equation, before they start solving the problem. And if that is the case, we are going to subtract 5 from both sides. And then we are going to divide both sides by 2. And the answer will be 5. So that means 2x plus 5 is equal to 15. If you say 2 times 5, so x is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15. The 10 that you subtracted 5 from the 15 on the other side, plus 5 is equal to 15. So you have 15 on both sides. So if they say 2x plus 5 is equal to 15, find x. X is 5. That is a linear equation. And the problem is well solved. And you can compute this and you get the same answer everywhere around the world. There is no speculation. Those in Nigeria will get the same answer. Those in Southern Cameroons, La Republique, those in the United States of America or Canada will get the same answer. That is why the street lights in these countries work. That is why they make a telephone and it works. That is why their government works. So the question is, what problem are we trying to solve in this geographical location? That Issa Tchiroma Bakari showed up and promised you that he will help you solve that problem. Is it a domestic dispute within a defined jurisdiction, or is this an incomplete decolonization dispute? Classification before we start solving the problem. This is an incomplete decolonization conflict. A Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroons conflict, not a Anglophone, Francophone conflict. And I will show you why this is the problem we ought to be solving and what role Issa Tchiroma Bakari and team can play to solve this problem. You don't need to be the president of La République du Cameroon to solve this problem. This is what I also want you to pay attention to. We accept Issa Tchiroma Bakari's apology, but we have to deal with reality. Remember, Issa Tchiroma Bakari comes from the north. That is where Amadou Ahidjo comes from. Never ever forget to remember. A people without a memory are bound to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. 70.5% of your parents or grandparents, because this happened in 1961, it's not been long, 65 years ago, voted for us to join that system. This is what we call generational curse, because that was the decision they made. You might be prompted to follow the same direction. We break the generational curse right here. I want you to remember that Issa Tchiroma Bakari comes from the north, where Amadou Ahidjo comes from. Amadou Ahidjo led the Southern Cameroons into this mess in collaboration with Foncha. Foncha tried to get Amadou Ahidjo to ratify a union treaty, because that is the X that is missing in this equation. A union treaty. It's an incomplete decolonization problem we are trying to solve here, not a governance failure problem. Amadou Ahidjo comes from that north. He led that country for 22 years. He mentored Paul Biya. He laid the foundation for this script. More than 300,000 of the UPC fighters were unalived by Amadou Ahidjo's regime. Let's not repeat the errors of our parents. Paul Biya was mentored by Amadou Ahidjo. Paul Biya mentored Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Paul Biya mentored Maurice Kamto. Paul Biya was very loyal in the beginning. Calm, nice man. People saw him and saw a promising future for Cameroon. 43 years, look at where we are today. There is no difference between Issa Tchiroma Bakari and Paul Biya and Amadou Ahidjo. They are all birds of the same feather. And Issa Tchiroma Bakari, by the end of this video, if you take to my advice, you can redeem yourself and help your people and help the southern Cameroonians the right way. If not, leave our people alone. They have suffered too much. Leave them alone. No one will contribute for your cause. No one will go out on the street to fight for you to become president of La République du Cameroon. You can help solve this problem in the best way possible without becoming the president of La République du Cameroon, if you really, genuinely want change and not power. You need to heal. Thousands of lives have been lost in the southern Cameroons. And you supported that government when our people were dying in their thousands. You need to heal from the blood of these people. How do we know that the conflict in this area is not that of governance failure, but that of incomplete decolonization? Let's go ahead and test that hypothesis. On your screen is a section of Resolution 1608. Southern Cameroons was a trust territory independent of La République du Cameroun from 1946 right up to 1961. So if Issa Tchiroma Bakari wants to help solve this problem, start by reading and studying the trusteeship history of Southern Cameroons. The 994th plenary meeting was held on 21st April 1961. That meeting was organized by the United Nations. It was a Friday at 3 p.m. in New York. It's a 2-page document. I'll put the link in the description so that Issa Tchiroma Bakari and team and every Southern Cameroonian who doesn't understand their history or the acts we should be solving for should read that document. This is the depth of research and clarity my team and I have been able to bring to us for 65 years. That this is a linear equation. This document is on the UN's official website. I'll put the link to the description so you can go read that document for yourself. We will go ahead and read paragraph 4 and 5 to understand the problem every Southern Cameroonian should be solving. Only the UN and Britain can solve this problem. Even if La République du Cameroun has the capacity, they lack the authority. You can't be fighting with your wife and the problem is so tense, and then you say, okay, let's solve this problem. And then your wife or the husband says they want to be the judge over that case. Who do you think will win? If the husband is the judge, he will definitely win. If the wife is the judge, she will definitely win. So if La République du Cameroun and Southern Cameroons have conflict, and then you are going to La République du Cameroun to solve your problem, does that even make sense? Who is going to win? La République du Cameroun. And again, there is no French colony that practices decentralization. So if Paul Biya will solve this problem, if Issa Tchiroma Bakari will solve this problem, there is only one solution, given their history. centralized power. That means you should be able and willing to give up English, give up the common law system over time. And that leader will appoint deals and ministers that will get to choose who becomes chiefs, forms in your area. So they report to him. That is the only way they understand how to lead. Even Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso still practices the same system. It's all centralization. We come from the common law system. It's decentralized by nature. It's impossible without a union treaty and rules of engagement for us to flourish in this relationship. Let's read paragraph 4 and 5. Every Southern Cameroonian should read this document. If not, we'll fight like this forever. Augustine Ngom was Prime Minister of West Cameroon. He fought within the same system, trying to change the same system. He had a position of privilege, but he was fighting. So what Ambazonians are doing today, Augustine Ngom fought single-handedly. I'm sure most elders at that time said, no, let it go. Why are you trying to create trouble? Because 70.5% of them had voted to join La République du Cameroon. So they would definitely support Foncha and tell Augustine Ngom, forget about it. You're trying to cause, just like some are saying to me today, you are the one trying to create problem. Imagine that I stood at the Fumban Constitutional Conference and say to everyone that day, we can't have this meeting because one important step has been skipped. We can't proceed with this meeting because we had to ratify, sign, and register a union treaty like almost every nation on earth does before they go in to a constitutional conference. Some of your parents would have fought me that day, but today, the new generation would have been saying that was a hero because he stood up that time. So today, don't fight the people that are trying to help you not to fall into the same mess over and over again. As we read this section, a noble citizen from the Southern Cameroons sent me a text message that in my previous video I said ICC instead of ICJ. That is a slip of tongue. It is actually ICJ, the International Court of Justice. As a leader, you own up to your mistakes. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be authentic and consistent, not to misinform people, but to be authentic and consistent. On that note, anyone who labels others as blackleg and take their lives must be absolutely certain of the evidence. That means you have receipt of how they were bought. You have proof of how they were bought. And that includes myself. Because some of you will face the International Court of Justice, while some will have to face the courts that we will set up in the Southern Cameroons. Because if at the end of this struggle, it is proven that even 5 of the people you accused were innocent, then innocent blood was shed. And for that, there will be accountability. No cause justifies killing without proof. Justice does not forget. There are many people watching. They are quiet right now because of the guns and the threat. But time will come, they will speak. And they are documenting every word that others are saying that has led to the death of many of our people. Let me be clear with this. there is freedom of speech. That is, you are free to say what you think and what you feel. But you are also accountable for what you say. That is the balance. Because people's lives and reputation is on the line because of what you say. We have to demonstrate to the world that we are a group of people that respect law. This is part of that 70% work that we have to do on ourselves. Imagine they give us independence right now. You will label anyone you don't like blackleg because they say something that you don't understand or you don't like. And you will make them a target. And that is what you guys do. We have to be responsible with what we say, even on social media. It is said that many of our people have lost their lives, not in the hands of La République du Cameroon soldiers, but in the hands of our own people. And you want independence right now so that you can wipe out everyone. No, you keep studying, redeem yourself, the blood of innocent people, a lot, has been spilled across southern Cameroons by some of you back home and abroad. With no proof, with a story that is not consistent with the history of southern Cameroons. And you shove this down people's throat and you take their lives. Let's redeem ourselves moving forward. It will not end well for many. You don't have the right to do this to a people. History is a brutal discipline. The people that have messed up the destinies of southern Cameroonians didn't come from afar. It came from within. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Many people that we would have won their hearts with the authentic story of southern Cameroons, we've sent them away. And we think, oh, a few people with guns can control and manipulate the destiny of these people. We say no to that. We acknowledge the sacrifice of the men on the ground that have been fighting a just cause. But we also know there have been rough actors that have been manipulated by other individuals for their selfish gain. And we must make a distinction. So be mindful of what you say and what you do. If you claim I have been bought, make sure that you keep receipts and proof that I have been bought. You have the receipts, you heard the communication, and there is proof that I have been bought, because you will need to provide that when the time comes. Paragraph 4 stipulates the following. Decides that the plebiscite, having been taken separately with differing results, the trusteeship agreement of 13 December 1946 concerning the Cameroons under United Kingdom administration shall be terminated in accordance with Article 76B of the Charter of the United Nations, and in agreement with the administering authority in the following manner. A, pay attention to this. With respect to the Northern Cameroons, on 1st June 1961, upon its joining the Federation of Nigeria as a separate province of the northern region of Nigeria. Case closed. That is for Northern Cameroons. No further explanation. B. So, A, chapter close. That is for Northern Cameroons. Because some were confused that we had Northern Cameroons, we had Southern Cameroons, everything was equal. No, it's different. And this document is our last bus stop at the United Nations. If you thought We had to gain our independence and then we joined La Republic of Cameroon. That is where the confusion comes from. It's incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization. Now, let's go to B. With respect, see the distinction? With respect to the Southern Cameroons, on 1st October 1961, upon its joining the Republic of Cameroon, paragraph 5, invites the administering authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons. They told you that we didn't have power, we didn't have the authority to ratify or sign a union treaty. It's right in this document. Pay attention. Invites the administering authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussions with a view to finalizing before 1st October 1961. So there is a statute of limitation. The arrangements by which they agreed and declared policies of the parties concerned will be implemented. That is treaty language right in there. Now, let's break down this section. Again, I'm speaking to leaders, those who will lead the Southern Cameroons, influencers, those who will bring about change, even in La Republic du Cameroon, like Issa, Tchiroma, Bakari, the Union of Change. Let's go ahead and look at this section together. For Northern Cameroons, the language is clear, complete, and self-executing. Remember, we had left Nigeria in 1953-1954. We established our own government. That is why they talk about the government of the Southern Cameroons. That is not mentioned for Northern Cameroons because they were still part of Nigeria, an integral part of Nigeria. This thing doesn't need interpretation. It's clear. So on 1st June 1961, upon its joining the Federation of Nigeria as a separate province of the northern region of Nigeria, case closed. That sentence does the work for itself. Doesn't need interpretation. It names the destination, the legal form, separate province, the receiving state, and the date. Nothing further is required. No negotiations. No future instruments. File closed. Let's look at Southern Cameroons and why it is different and the X we should be solving for. On October 1st, 1961, upon its joining the Republic of Cameroon, on its face, if you look at B, it sounds similar. But the very next paragraph changes everything. Paragraph 5. It invites the administering authority, that is Britain. So if we are fighting here, we have conflict here, who should we be running to? Britain and the United Nations. They are the ones who organize the plebiscite. So it invites the administering authority, the government of the Southern Cameroons. Foncha was representing us. And the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussions with a view to finalizing before October 1st, 1961, the arrangements by which they agreed and declared policies of the parties concerned will be implemented. That paragraph is very important. That is the last official document from the United Nations. That day, 87 countries were present. 64 voted yes to this process. 23 voted no to the process. That is from the plebiscite and the date of joining, the entire mechanism, process used by the United Nations. So this is where the legal character shifts. Number one, initiate urgent discussions. States do not initiate discussions to implement something that is already legally completed. States. So you see, Britain, the government of Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroun, tripartite. That's what three, tripartite. Tripartite discussions. Not Aijo coming to Fumban with a constitution drafted by him unilaterally. And we are talking about a constitutional conference, not a treaty conference, because some people hear Fumban, they thought this was where everything ended. No, a constitutional conference. A constitution is adopted after a treaty has been negotiated, signed, ratified, and registered at the United Nations under Article 102 of the United Nations Charter. So, states do not initiate discussions to implement something that is already legally completed. Discussions are triggered when terms are not yet settled. Second, with a view to finalizing. So that means everything has not yet ended. For Southern Cameroons, that of Northern Cameroons chapter closed. You only finalize what is unfinished. That is why we say incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence. We shouldn't be celebrating October 1st. The process was incomplete. Finalizing. So finalizing presuppose draft, negotiations, concessions, and mutual consent. Do you understand? Some will say, oh, Foncha served in that government. We are now West Cameroon. That does not solve the legal vacuum. Elon Musk served in the American government. That did not create a binding union between South Africa and America. So you only finalize what is unfinished. This is the confusion with the Ambazonian story, because the people assume we gain our independence on October 1st, 1961, and then join La République du Cameroun. No, the question is a mechanism. Do you choose to gain independence by, like, do you choose to come to school by a bus or by foot? You only achieve independence through the mechanism. You only get to school through the bus or through walking. So if the urgent discussions were never had between these three parties and a treaty signed, ratified, and registered at the UN, the process is incomplete. Third, the arrangements. The arrangements is a classic treaty language. Arrangement. When you have arrangements with people or agreement, what do? At the end of the day, agreement is agreement. Agreement ends with a contract. You can't just improvise marriage that, oh, we will not go to court and get married. We are married. We assume that. No. Every marriage has a marriage certificate. So what we are trying to do with this system right now, most Southern Cameroonians, it's like you were presented two options of a house you wanted to buy. You saw the first house, you went to the second house, you and your wife, you discussed and you said, oh, we like this other house. So you told the landlord, we like this house. They're like, okay, we have to negotiate. The plebiscite is that act of choosing between House A and House B. Do you understand? Now, the next step is you have to go on to sign a contract to buy that house before you move in your furnitures. Trying to choose the best president or adjust the government or cabinet, the policies in La République du Cameroon, it's like you haven't signed the contract to buy that house. And you think if you put in the best furniture inside of that house, it will make that house your house. No, it doesn't work that way. That is what most Southern Cameroonians are trying to do, playing this politics with La République du Cameroon. Again, we are solving for X. Now, arrangements is a classic treaty language. It refers to concrete instruments, not gentleman's agreement. A concrete instrument, agreement, protocol, constitutional text, guarantees, allocations of power, safeguards, transition mechanism. Fourth, agreed and declared policies of the parties concerned. That is decisive. There is no such thing as agreed policies between two sovereign entities without an agreement. Policies are declared by each side, but they only become binding between parties through a negotiated instrument. So the UN does not say, pay attention to this, it does not say what those policies are, where they are written, that they already exist in a signed form. Instead, it explicitly pushes them into the future before October 1st, 1961. Do you understand? So what is the issue here? The teachers and the lawyers went on the street in 2016, 2017 to protest, to push back that they don't want French judges in their courts. The teachers said, we don't want French tutors in our schools. The villagers rose up in 2025 saying a Dio cannot impose a chief on us. This is a customary system. This is a common law system. We are different from what you practice over there. Why are we having all these glitches that has led to thousands of people losing their lives? Because there was no signed union treaty that outlines the rules of engagement that we could look at and say, this is what we signed. So we could change the form of government. We could change from federation to decentralization or to a unitary system. But a union treaty protects everyone even while those changes are being made. So that in case we get at some point and say, oh, now we have a unitary system and we don't like it, we have a document we can fall back on. That original document cannot be changed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, the original contract that you signed cannot be changed. But you can change internal policies. So we cannot be part of a constitutional conference of a union that doesn't have a union treaty. That makes that constitutional conference we had void. What they would have been doing from April 21st right up to October 1st, they would have focused all that time ratifying a union treaty and not preparing for a constitutional conference. Do you understand me, my people? You get it? So, in the Bible, the word remember appears 235 times. Remember, more than 200 times. Those who do not remember always make the same mistakes. You forgive people, but you set boundaries to protect yourself and your children's children. An insider from La République du Cameroon will never ever help you, even if they have the capacity, they lack the authority. Aijo laid the foundation. He mentored Paul Biya. Paul Biya mentored Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Paul Biya mentored Maurice Kamto. These are birds of the same feather. Change can never come from these individuals. For citizens of La République du Cameroon, not for Southern Cameroonians. Our problem will be solved by the UN and by Britain. Do you understand, my people? Yeah, this is the depth of work that I've been able to do for us. Now, this is one thing you should bear in mind. This is one thing you should bear in mind. Nation building is not a one-man's job. It's a cooperative effort. The spirit of nationalism is something that is missing in us. It's a foreign concept. Some people are loyal, really, more to their tribes than they are to their nation. For us to make progress, this is what we must realize. For 9 to 10 years, we've lost thousands of people. You've not seen Francophone elites mobilize, hold meetings in Paris to help address the Southern Cameroon's La République du Cameroon crisis, which is affecting them as well. They haven't done that. But an election they assume was stolen, they had a meeting in Paris. The Francophone elite will never allow Issa Tchiroma Bakari to lead that country, because he broke the chain of command, and that is against a civil law system. Do you understand what I'm saying? It will never happen. This is time for us to realize that no one is coming to save us. They've never stood for us. If there is anything, they will use you for their own political gains. Issa Tchiroma Bakari can study this document, understand that this is not an Anglophone Francophone crisis. This is a Southern Cameroon's La République crisis that comes from incomplete decolonization. And what we are solving for is the missing Union Treaty. He can support calls to the United Nations to complete this process. He can urge Britain to acknowledge their unfinished responsibility. He can teach his people about the true history of this country, the true history of Southern Cameroons, the true history of the Republic of Cameroon. If you have influence, you can do that without being president. And that can lay a solid foundation for future leaders that will lead La République du Cameroon. That is a noble and honest thing to do. At this age, you're trying to learn how to speak English fluently, and our people gather around you. Where are we going with this? When do you think he will learn how to speak English fluently? According to you, you think Paul Biya can't speak English? All of them can speak English. They pretend. They send their children abroad to study in schools where English is taught. They know, not French, English is the global language of the world. English has run the world for 300 years, not French. French doesn't even come close. So to try to put English and French as like they are on the same level, it doesn't make sense. That is what they have done to you. The first thing is to strip you of your identity, call you a second-class citizen, make you to believe that French is more superior than English. They who speak French are more superior, and you who speak English is inferior. Look at Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, the countries that are making waves in Africa. These are all English-speaking nations. How come we got this low? Even while we are abroad, my people, take off this BIR from your mind and let's just reason. Give me 5 steps through which you think Issa Tchiroma Bakari can help you to provide schools, even Pobia can help you to provide schools, jobs, solve the Southern Cameroon's problem, decentralize this nation. It's impossible. They can't do it. Not in their lifetime. Do you understand? These are realities. Again, prosperous nations solve their problems using frameworks and proven scientific methods. Poor and struggling nations solve their problems through emotions, opinions, flags, slogans, and speculation. We should be helping them, teaching them. Most of the transformations that happen globally, they have to translate it into French to understand what is happening in the English world. The United Nations is run on English. That is the heritage you have. The first step was to diminish this and make you feel inferior. My first step is to raise you up and let you know who you are. No matter how old you are, break this generational curse. More than 70.5% of your parents voted to join La République du Cameroon. So that spirit of wanting to be part of La République du Cameroon is inside of you. Now is the time to reason. Think about your future. We will have a blessed nation. We'll be the first world nation in the continent of Africa. If we just obey certain rules, show up on time, do the right thing, we will be fine. Very, very successful. Whoever you are, whatever position you occupy in La République du Cameroon, you have a better life in Southern Cameroons. What you have is more superior. The common law system runs this world, not the civil law system. You have a better life. You'll be richer than you can ever imagine in La République du Cameroon, while preserving future generations, while partnering with global nations. Let's do things the right way. Let's not join this corruption and ruin the future of our children. So the Bible is more than 5,000 years of recorded history about one people, Israel. Not because they were perfect, but because memory was survival. They had to remember to survive. That is why when God brought them out of Egypt, He reminded them again and again, remember the Lord your God that I brought you out of Egypt. Remember that it is the Lord your God who gives you the power to produce wealth. Remember appears in the Bible 235 times, more than 200 times. Remember. Every time they forgot how power worked, who failed them before, and how their unions were formed, they chose the wrong leader and paid the price. They paid the price every time. That is Israel's story. You see, the state of Israel is established today because of memory. That even after thousands of years, you might dispute, oh, are these the original Israelites? Whatever preference. But this story is preserved, and this heritage is preserved because of memory. History exists so people don't repeat the same mistakes while telling themselves they are being wise. That is why history exists. Study Augustine and Ngom. That is your authentic history of Southern Cameroons. See what he went through in that system. He knew that we would get at this stage someday, but most of the people around did not listen to him. Don't repeat the same mistake by not listening to me, and tomorrow you get to cry. Augustine Ngom saw this coming. So today, we are standing in one of those moments again. When I see our people on these Zoom calls, and I see Issa Tchiroma Bakari, what I see is Fumban Conference 2.0. And I'm rising up to say, no, we don't have to hold a meeting. Because we are missing a union treaty. That is the X we should be solving for. A legitimate political union is like a marriage. There is consent by both sides, clear terms, a binding agreement, and a documented settlement. If you do this in marriage, then a union between two nations, there is no firm agreement, no document you can reference anywhere around the world, and an exit plan, or where you can identify, oh, my rights are being violated, and you guys want to go along with this. This is the priority of every Southern Cameroon and nothing else in this generation. Solving this one problem. In international law, that settlement is the treaty. That is the marriage certificate. So in 1961, Southern Cameroons voted for independence to take effect on October 1st, 1961. Not to be absorbed, not to disappear. Northern Cameroons wanted that. But to join another state under agreed terms. They should know this about our history. The United Nations records were clear. The trusteeship ended. Discussions were required. Arrangements were to be finalized. But there is no registered treaty, no union agreement deposited, no marriage certificate. So the man is saying, I want to have another woman. Or the woman is saying, I want to have a boyfriend on the side. Since you are not married, the only thing is either break up. You don't have a say that much of a dating relationship. That is not symbolism. That is the foundation. You just watch the game of soccer. You realize that there are rules. The game we just watched, you see that the coach of Senegal at some point, when they were having challenges, took the players out of the field. What happened? He has been sanctioned by the Football Federation because soccer has rules. We don't have such rules in this relationship with La République du Cameroun. And Issa Tchiroma Bakari cannot provide that for you. So, because there was no treaty, everything that followed rested on assumption instead of agreement. That's why Issa Tchiroma said, I'll bring in experts who will come and discuss with the people whether they want federation. He doesn't have the authority to do that. He doesn't. It's illegal based on international law. So, no jointly negotiated constitution, no ratified safeguards, no binding guarantees. That is why Southern Cameroons has remained unstable. That is not rebellion culture. That is structural. It's like having Britain and France live in one house with no rules. Fight all the time. That is the heritage we got from Britain. That is the heritage they got from France. If you read the history of France and Britain, they have always been at war with each other for a very long time. Even the 100 years war was between France and Britain. Read the history well. Without this foundation being solved, you don't understand history, understand the trusteeship records, understand the heritage that you adopted, the history of your colonial masters, both colonial masters. You're going nowhere. When the foundation is unresolved, agitation never disappears. It only changes form. Some fight will emerge in the future under another name. As La République du Cameroon will continue pushing for their centralization policy, one institution in the southern Cameroons will agitate, go on the street, and we will pick up arms again. So this foundation is unstable. So those who are running behind Issa Tchiroma Bakari, I want to let you know, he doesn't have what it takes. Paul Biya doesn't have what it takes. La République du Cameroon doesn't have what it takes. If we agree that they get to solve this problem, that means La République du Cameroon organized the plebiscite. They are the UN. And we have made them the UN over us. Again, take out this BIR from your mind and think. Some of you live in the West. Just think. How can these people help you? How? That we believe too much in brute force. So that is why anyone that has the inclination to control the military, we start looking at them like they have what it takes. He said he will defeat Paul Biya. Now he's hiding and he wants you to go fight for him. We can stand the heat for 9 to 10 years. For 3 months, he's out of the country. And he claims he can help you. Paul Biya doesn't even know what to say to us. Like I told you guys, he can't solve the problem. He doesn't have what it takes. He doesn't understand. The common law system is more complicated than the civil law system. They just have to centralize power and they have nothing to worry about. Our system is so complicated, they can never understand the common law system. It's like saying France understands America better than America understands France. But the reality is, America understands France. America practices the common law system, the same system we practice in the southern Cameroons. We need to just understand what it is. And prosperity will flow in our land unprecedented. Do you understand? France will never understand America like America will understand France. No personality, whether it is Issa Tchiroma, Paul Biya, Ayijo, the next president of La République du Cameroon, none can fix a foundational defect without returning to that missing agreement. So this is where many people are being misled. In French-style centralized political system, a new president does not decentralize power. Again, there is no French colony around the world. Do your research on that. No French colony that practices decentralization or centralization, consolidation of power. So imagine there is no French colony. Then you think they will practice that in Cameroon after 65 years of what we have gone through. They consolidate power. Amadou Ayijo created the script from the north, from the area Issa Tchiroma Bakari comes from. Paul Biya inherited it and perfected it for the next person. If you understand the gravity of this work, that means you have to dismantle everything. Everyone rising through the same system has been trained in the same reflexes. Central authority, control before consent, unity enforced, not negotiated. They are trying to use you so they can get your people. That is the goal. We just let them know, sir, no, we understand what is going on. Stop. If you want to do the right thing, petition the UN to solve this problem. You are not the right authority. Stop all of this. So expecting an insider to voluntarily reopen the legitimacy of the union is unrealistic. Historically, it goes the opposite direction. When legitimacy is questioned, power hardens. There is a jurisdictional question on Southern Cameroons. And that is when people at the margins suffer the most. Francophone elites may fight among themselves over power. Pay attention to this, Southern Cameroonians. They may fight among themselves over power. They may disagree on who rules. But when it comes to Southern Cameroons, the view is remarkably consistent. They will agree on one thing, that this nation is one and indivisible, and anyone. That is why Issa Tchiroma, even in an attempt to say he will solve the Anglophone crisis, came to Bamenda and said he is in contact with secessionists. So, in essence, our problem is treated as secondary. Our history is treated as inconvenience. Why are you trying to disrupt the peace? Why are you trying to cause trouble? They just want you to be peaceful and go along with the flow. Our grievances are treated as something to be managed, not solved. That position is not negotiable inside the system, which is why every regime prioritizes peace over justice and containment over growth in our regions. You don't invest deeply in something you are not sure will last. What we'll realize more often is some Southern Cameroonian leaders are encouraging their own people towards renewed confrontation with La République du Cameroon's government. Not to resolve our foundational injustice, but to spark change for someone else's presidential ambition. That is not leadership, that is exploitation. When a people's blood becomes political fuel, history tells us how that ends. It's confusing because the same people encouraging Southern Cameroonians to pick up arms right now are the same people who rejected the armed conflict in the Southern Cameroons. It's confusing. What has happened to us? Armed conflict is armed conflict. Picking up arms for Southern Cameroons is more legitimate than picking up arms over an election that is lost. It doesn't make something as, and that's why I asked the question. Why is it that we in the Southern Cameroons haven't succeeded at any point to sow the seed of division among Francophones? Why did it work on us? Why? This is the question every Southern Cameroonian should be asking themselves, whether you work for that government or not. Again, We will not bring our people together by fighting them, but we bring out ideas like this and have all of us think, why did it work on us? Why? There is something fundamentally wrong about how we see ourselves initially. Why will they unite when it comes to our case, and we cannot unite when it comes to their case? When it comes to our situation, they are united. Issa Tchiroma Bakari will unite with Maurice Kamto and Paul Biya and Amadou Ahidjo if he was alive on our case. But we cannot unite in the southern Cameroons when it has to do with La République du Cameroon. Sleep over that tonight. Accountability does not begin in 2025, my people. What about the thousands of lives lost in southern Cameroons over a decade now? What about villages burnt, families displaced? Your own people have little value. What happened to us? You could turn on your microphone and your camera and speak over 50 people dying in La République du Cameroon, but you could not do the same after 6,000, more than 6,000 of your own people were murdered and killed in cold blood. Something is wrong. Why did it work on us? We can turn around and say, oh, La République is doing it. Why did it work? Justice that skips history is not justice. It is positioning. And positioning does not heal nations. This is where southern Cameroonians must pause and look honestly in the mirror. Why do we keep trusting insiders trained by the same system that failed us? Because what I'm seeing is the new faces that will be nurtured to replace individuals like Atangan Jipo against us again. If this eventually becomes a reality, I'm seeing history repeating itself in a different form. I'm seeing new faces that are being mentored to take over the positions of Prime Minister Dion Gute. Simon Achille, the Munas. They are using social media now to mentor you, to take over, to bring your people in again so we can repeat the cycle. If we don't break this generational curse, why do we keep lending our pain to other people's past struggle? Why do we forget the missing foundation every time a new voice sounds confident? I'm the one now to give you freedom. Pain alone does not produce wisdom. Memory does. Memory. Never forget to remember. If a project like this, a project like that of Issa Tchiroma Bakari, cannot clearly acknowledge the illegitimacy of the union, prioritize its correction, and protect our people institutionally, then it is not our project. Let that be clear. We are looking for a miracle, but I think what we are really looking for is magic. Magic is performative. That is, the magician does everything and then boom, the results appear. Miracles are different. Miracles are participative. The woman had to touch the hem of Jesus's garment and the issue of blood that she has been struggling with for 12 years disappeared. Participation. So that means every influencer from Southern Cameroons, leader from Southern Cameroons, activist from Southern Cameroons, you study what I have taught here, and this becomes the new message on your platforms. We push for the United Nations and Britain to get involved and complete the decolonization of Southern Cameroons. If we don't have a union treaty, your people will remain in this bondage forever. If you are looking for magic, then you are hoping that someone will emerge like me and just press a magic button and everything will be solved. That is how many perceive this. And they think, let me go around and call some of these individuals that are analyze their video and talk with them privately. And I'm like, nation building is a cooperative effort. I analyze some of these videos not only to correct our history, because if the history is not corrected first, everything else we are building is on sinking sand. That is why I take the time to analyze this video. Has nothing personal against anyone at all. Because tomorrow you say, where were you? Where were you? So I'm here now. Just like Augustine Ngom, he was there. Nobody heard him. He lost his position, everything, and fought to preserve our systems. I'm here now. So I analyze these videos, not only to correct those who are spreading misinformation. Like I said, stop using the name Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons. You've seen that on every official document. And the resolution 1608, that is our last bus stop at the UN. Most importantly, I make these videos for you to learn and tell the difference. While the influencers and activists are learning and upgrading their message, you are learning so that you can do the right thing. You will be actively involved in bringing about change. It's a miracle, not magic. Magic is performative. Miracles is participative. Write that down and never forget. Pray as if everything depends on God. Walk as if everything depends on you to get the Southern Cameroons crisis solved. The Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroons crisis. Cooperative. Participative. You have been waiting on God. No, God is waiting on you. He said, before I formed you, I knew you. All the significant changes we have seen in our lifetime, God has used people. So ask the question, God, use me. Use me for my generation. This script that we are seeing here has been played before. This script has been played before. So I say, Issa, Tchiroma, Bakari, and team, reach out. My number is on the screen. If you really want to help your people, I'll show you how. There are books I'll recommend you start reading while you are in the Gambia to help your people. Change requires humility. Doesn't matter how old you are. I have materials that can help you teach your people the true history of this country. You will never ever gain justice out of this system that you guys created. You should know that and know peace. What you've built will destroy even you. Paul Biya did not create the script. Amado Ahijo did. He came from your area. Paul Biya is an apprentice. What Amado Ahijo did for 22 years running that country is worse than what Paul Biya has even done for 43 years. They are all birds of the same feather. And what I see you doing is the same script. You, Paul Biya, Amado Ahijo, stay away from Southern Cameroons. If you don't want to solve this problem the right way, again, I repeat, Issa Tchiroma Bakari, Paul Biya, stay away from Southern Cameroons. Our people have been hurt for a very long time. If you want to solve this problem the right way, reach out and I'll help you. For the sake of being black people that want to be upright and do the right thing, reach out and I will help you. Stop manipulating them. Stop coming on their platforms and share all this cheap propaganda. I will not be alive and watch Southern Cameroonians be manipulated again. Because after studying this and understanding what is going on, I say no. It is pathetic to think that black people are doing this to each other. We are running away from Southern Cameroons not because of some white man, a black man that I see come in with a gun and terrorize my own people. And some go around and say we are not brothers, please. Say we are brothers on the other side. No. This brother language, no. These are private metaphors. Use them at home. For Biya is the president of their country, not our father. All this father, you don't know your father? Look at the dictionary definition of that word. He is the president. He was supposed to be acting as the president of La République du Cameroon. He has poorly managed the country. Our incomplete decolonization status, we've been tagged along and our institutions have been messed up in the process. They are all birds of the same feather. Stay away from our people. I will not watch any of you mess with our people again moving forward. For Ayok Seseko Tabe, the Naira 10 and team that have been locked up in La République du Cameroon, once we sort out this legal confusion, most of you will be released and your case will be pursued the right way. Any lawyer defending you that has their license under La République du Cameroon can never win this case in court. Southern Cameroons is an international case, but with Ambazonia, it will become a local domestic dispute. But if you're fighting for Southern Cameroons, it is an international dispute. And with that, we can look for different legal experts that don't have their license under La République du Cameroon, because there will be restrictions as to what they can say. So you can never get justice. Even being judged in La République du Cameroon unilaterally doesn't make sense. Who do you think will win? The same principles, right? And then those who said I should be calling people to try to correct them. You see the work I do here? Do you know how many hours I put in studies every day? Nation building is a cooperative effort. If you wake up in the morning and you go to a nearby store and you buy a loaf of bread because you want to have breakfast, you come back home. Let's test that hypothesis. You come back home, you realize that bread is bad. And then you go to another nearby store and you buy another loaf of bread. And you come back home and you realize, oh, that bread is good. What do? Do you go and put together all the bread sellers in that community and speak with them as one so that everybody can understand what is going on? Or do you go back to that bread seller and say, refund my money because the bread you sold to me is bad? And then you encourage your friends to go to the store that sells bread that is good. That is what we do in real life. In politics, if someone is wrong, you tell me, let's mobilize with those who are spreading false information. Again, this is a mathematical equation. This is history, something that has happened. It's not an opinion. If somebody says 1 + 1 is equal to 3, we don't say they have their own opinion. No, we say they are wrong and then we correct them. What I'm doing here is teaching and upgrading our language so that the world can ultimately hear us correctly. Anyone that puts out wrong information, I know they are influencing our people and they will take action based on that information. So I'm trying to prevent you from making mistakes based on what you hear that is inaccurate with your history. So we will correct that. It has nothing personal towards anyone. Number 2, the vision, where you're taking our people to. After 9 to 10 years of bleeding, more than 1 million people displaced, thousands have lost their life. Our goal is to build a nation that is poorer than La République du Cameroon. We are exiting. I believe in us, and I believe we deserve better. And I know we can do it if people cooperate. So we will correct that as well. Standards. You must be factual when you speak to our people, because that by itself upgrades them from this mediocrity in Africa. Again, the history, the vision, and standards. These are non-negotiable. You don't see me jumping into everything people say. No, but when it comes to these three areas, I know that if Southern Cameroon's institutions will be restored, if we will build a prosperous nation, our history, our vision, and our standards, these are non-negotiable. Many don't know that. Some are still caught up in their feelings. Some are still caught up in their tribes. Some are still caught up in their groups. Some are still caught up in personalities. You have to detach and be focused on Southern Cameroons than your tribe, than your personalities. Now, what we have realized for the past 9 to 10 years is no matter the village you come from, you might come from Banso, you might come from Kumbo, you might come from Kambe. What you've realized is if Southern Cameroons is unstable, you can't even get there. So what do? We have to prioritize Southern Cameroons over any tribe. This is what we are realizing now, and this is the birth of our own nationalism. That we are realizing, oh, for 9 to 10 years, the so-called La République du Cameroon have not been here for us. This is what happened when France lost the war to Britain. Britain celebrated openly. The French people saw that, and they realized, oh, so we are French people and they are English people. That was the birth of nationalism in Europe. This should be that defining moment for us. That we say, oh, wow, we've seen what has happened. For 9 to 10 years, we have been all by ourselves. Now, just an election, we've seen what they could do, but they stayed quiet and watched us bleed. So this script has been played before. Different names. The first name was Amadou Aijo. The second name was Paul Biya. Now the third name is Issa Tchiroma Bakari. Same structure, same outcome. The problem is not personalities. Please. It is the foundation. And until the missing marriage certificate is addressed, no new president, no election, and no declaration will bring stability. History is watching us. Memory is watching us. And this time, we must choose clarity over charisma. You said you had a plan. You said you had a plan. Because the people without memory repeat cycles. And the people who repeat cycles never move forward. That is why we glorify the past more than the future. And I'm showing us it is possible to build the first world nation in the continent of Africa. Creativity flows more out of desperation than from inspiration. This is a repeated pattern after studying 500 years of human history. Again, creativity flows more out of desperation than from inspiration. So what we have gone through for 9 to 10 years, how desperate we are right now, let's dial into facts, into our history, into records, study, be calm. Some are saying, oh, we want action. You go to church every Sunday just to hear a good word that empowers you to go take action. And you think this is just talk. You go to school from primary 1 right up to university. They don't give you anything. You just come in, they put knowledge in your head to program you so that you can go out there to go get a job. This is not rush work. Legal processes are not rushed. I don't see you going on the platforms of those who speak every day and the conditions on the ground are the same, telling them to stop. That you've been talking for 9 to 10 years, nothing has changed. You come here with new information that is challenging you, sparking your curiosity. Instead of taking time to understand the process, no one will rush me. I understand where we are going. No one will rush me. If you're in a rush, go and do what you think you can do. You understand? My people, we are going somewhere. I believe in us. I believe in the future. I believe we are reversing the cycle of how black people think globally. This is the dispensation where we start cherishing the brilliant ones among us, not the loud ones. Look at Dr. Ben Carson in America, George Washington Carver. This is a man that took peanuts and created more than 300 products. He's not celebrated in the black community. We celebrate activists, loud people. This is the dispensation who will identify the people that will build the institutions, that will provide the jobs for us, that will provide roads for us, schools, good drinking water. We will elevate them. And those who are just loud, with no substance, we are going to minimize their influence. Or they change and upgrade their message, and we walk together as one and build something amazing for our people. That is where we are going with this. Share this video with a friend and a loved one. Subscribe on the platform so every time a video is uploaded, you will be the first to be notified. Until next time, remain blessed.
Southern Cameroons, crown of freedom, you have it. A first world nation in a third world continent, you have it. Put your mind to the process, cutting edge systems, you have it. With top tier strategy, I don't see us losing, you have it. With great institutions, one single vision, you have it. Make Africa stable for trade and worship, you